Okay, alright. So recording in progress. Okay, so basically we go for chapter 3. As per last week we have done on chapter 2. Chapter 2. Okay, so this week we discuss on chapter 3 which is engineering ethic. Okay, so in the engineering ethic, we have 3 subtopic: 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. Okay, so this I will cover next week, or if the time is constrained, so I will give you the video lah. Okay, so but for today we focus on chapter 3.1, alright, which is the engineering ethic and crisis management. Okay, so this slide is being done by Dr. Wan Mazlina and edited by Dr. Bulan. Okay, alright. So this is crisis ethic and crisis management. Okay, so basically why we need to study engineering ethic? That is the most common question lah. Why we need ethic? Alright, so basically in ethic we have the theories behind the ethics. We will discuss after this, and then we see what is the analysis, and solution in ethical issues. Okay, so if you have some problems, some issues arising with the ethical, so how to manage the ethic, and also the policy. Okay, normally is the policy is the most constrained. Okay, so you need to know what is the policy of your organization, okay, of the company, okay, and also how they react with the policy and how to misconduct. And then we have the crisis management, and lastly the sum of example of case study. Okay, alright, so this is the common question, why we need to study. Okay, where does this ethic fit? Okay, so basically as I have mentioned earlier regarding your job scope, regarding your potential of your work, and also the job market. So basically when you do engineering, okay, and then you do your job scope, including your design, your analysis, and your performance. Okay, so you need to have ethic behind that. Okay, why? Because engineers build and develop a process. Okay, so you build a product. Okay, so basically what your design, okay, it will be used by another personnel. Okay, alright, the society will use what is your design. Okay, it will involve many life, alright, and also the process. Okay, so basically it will involve many, it's not only you, but it involve everyone else. So that is the job scope of engineer. Okay, so the consequences, let's say for example, if you design a bridge, so basically in the lack of design, the lack of construction, it will fail. Okay, if you design the gas tank, it have the risk to explode. Okay, and in any other example lah, medical, gas refining. So which means that what you do, what your design, what is your construction will involve safety. So that is the consequences for society lah. Okay, alright, tak bergerak. Okay, so at the end of the day, the decision made by engineers usually have serious consequences. Okay, so that's why ethic and ethical reasoning will guide you in order to have the better decision making. Okay, so that's why we need ethic lah. Okay, so for example here, if you remember in 2011, okay, earthquake in Japan. Okay, ni semua ingat lagi earthquake kat Japan okay, the most highest magnitude ever, 8.9 skala Richter. Okay, so the Fukushima nuclear power plant failed. Okay, So this is the most, what we call it as tragic tragedy, okay, occurs, all right, based on natural disaster. So basically, at that part also they have the nuclear power plant. Okay, so what is the consequences, what is the risk for that nuclear power plant? Okay, so basically that power plant, the Fukushima power plant, use plutonium 239. Okay, so basically it's a very toxic radioisotope. Okay, alright, so basically this material can have a lifespan about 250,000 years of life, which means that it's still radioactive for about 250,000 years. Okay, so basically if it leak, okay, plutonium leak, it will cause a health risk for about 8,000 generation. Okay, so which means that this area is being contaminated with radioactive. So this is very highly radioactive, okay, and very harmful to human being. Okay, okay, so the issue is that, okay, the possible, okay, health and safety, okay, the possibility of medical science discovering a cure for cancer sometimes in the current or next centuries add uncertainty to long-term health risk of leakage of radioactive isotopes. Okay, so dia macam ni, senang cerita. Okay, kalau kamu boleh imagine, saya suka cerita benda ni dalam kelas. Kalau dalam ni memang tak nampak sangat, tak nampak dia punya effect dia. Okay, but just imagine lah, just imagine the power of this radioactive isotope. Alright, so basically all of you have known the photostat machine. Okay, so that photostat machine, if let's say for example you have been exposed to that Photoshop machine radioactive, okay, the photostat tu lah. Alright, so what is the consequences to you is that some of your cell will die. Okay, if the most smallest one and the most weak ones, okay, your cell will die. Especially for male, your smallest and the weakest cell will be your sperm. So that means that if you are exposed to photostat machine for a longer period, so senang cerita mandul lah. Okay, so that is the consequences. Okay, so that is the photostat machine. Photostat machine is a low radioactive isotope. Okay, this is the highest radioactive isotope, which means that it can kill the highest cell, which means that if you being exposed to this plutonium, so you will directly dead. So that is the very harmful materials lah. Okay, alright. So the use of nuclear power may increase our knowledge of radioisotopes used for medical purpose. Alright. Also, it also can be used as medical purpose. For example, you have heard about the treatment for cancer. Kita panggil sebagai apa dia panggil tu? Saya lupa lah, makan semut pula lah. Apa nama dia kita ni? Kalau kanser dia bagi apa tu nama dia? Treatment apa? Saya lupa. Lupa nanti. Chemoterapi. Betul. Okay. So that chemotherapy is one type of radioactive. Okay. It will injected to your body. Okay. It will kill your nuclear cell, cancer cell lah. Okay, so that is one of the radioisotopes. application. Alright, so kat situ kamu jangan tanyalah apa yang hidup apa yang tak ni. Kalau bagi lelaki, kamu punya sperm tu dah tak hidup dah lah. Okay, itu contoh. Alright. So alternative, so it can use the alternative for nuclear power issues, nuclear power plant. Okay, is a renewable energy. Okay, but renewable energy cannot gain the efficiency, the same efficiency as nuclear power plant. Is very far difference. For example, nuclear power plant can gain up to 80 to 90% efficiency, but for this renewable energy is only up to 10%. Okay, so it's very far. But the issue here is the safety. Renewable energy offers very good safety and more green energy lah. Okay, compared to nuclear power plant. Alright. So, comparative economic cost of renewable resource. Alright. So basically, the lower efficiency, so increase cost lah. The higher efficiency, you can reduce cost. So basically, nuclear power plant can offer you a better return, okay, and better efficiency. Okay, so basically for renewable energy is much less lah. Includes also your photovoltaic PV, solar PV. So normally people have talk about solar PV installed at the rooftop, in order to reduce your monthly TNB bills. Okay, that is a alternative, okay, in order to reduce your electricity usage. Okay, so that is the example. Alright. So reasoning, why? Because the goal is, in this case, health and safety and also the biodiversity. Okay, so you can have the most highest efficiency. Okay, when we talk about nuclear power plant, it is a high efficiency, lower use of raw materials, okay, but higher energy being generated. Okay, but at the end of the day, the risk is very high. Alright, so that's why it offer called practical reasoning. So from this practical reasoning and also the ethical reasoning, we have the ethic, which means that, okay, you can use this very risky and very unsafe punya materials, but it offers very good return. How you manage that risk, okay, in order to bring the benefit to mankind. Alright, compared to renewable, it much safe, much greener energy produced, but in terms of money, in terms of cost, it's a very high cost. So that's why we have the practical reasoning and also the ethical reasoning. You can use, but you have the consequences. Okay, you can have the very low consequences, but in terms of cost, it will increase your cost. Okay, alright. Okay, so engineering is one of the most important profession in society. Okay, so basically we don't just build and develop process, but we build thing and process in order to better for society. So that's why we need the ethic. Okay, because of this society lah. Okay, tak bergerak dia. Okay, alright. So one main connection between ethic and engineering come from the impact that engineering product and process have on society. So engineer have to think about designing, building and marketing product that benefit society. Okay, that's why we need a social responsibility. Okay, it's not only you gain your wealthy, it's not only you gain your money, okay, It's not about profit, but you must think the consequences to society. So that is, we call it as a social responsibility lah. Okay, so either in previous example, okay, when we talk about nuclear power plant, it can bring a very good energy, okay, electricity to the society, but the consequences is very harmful. Okay, so that is the social responsibility. So how you want to manage that responsibility? Okay, so this is the issues regarding the engineers. Okay, first of all, you will talk about safety. Okay, and then when you talk about, let's say for example, nuclear power plant, so if you decided to install, what is the acceptable risk? Okay, if the risk is very accessible, okay, excessive, alright, so basically it cannot be accepted. Okay, but you need to manage the acceptable risk. And then the compliance, for example, regulation, rules and regulation from the local authority and also the local government. So what is the compliance? Okay, confidentially, okay, environment, integrity, and then conflict of interest, we will discuss it after this. Okay, honesty and dishonest. Okay, social impact. Okay, so this is much related, compliance and social impact. Alright, so basically you need to comply. Okay, if not, you will have the social impact. Okay, fairness, and lastly, accounting for uncertainty. Okay, so uncertainty, you need to acknowledge also in when you do your decision. So that's why you need to consider every aspect when you do some decision making. Okay, so this is the typical issues. Okay, we have 11. Okay, that normally engineers will encounter. Alright, okay, nanti kita tengok satu. Alright, tak bergerak. Okay, ethic has second connection with engineering. Okay, so it feeds through professional responsibility. Okay, not only your responsibility towards your family, it's also your responsibility towards the society. Okay, because what you do, what you decide, what is your construction, what is your design, it will involve society. Any other individual will use your design, so it involves society. Okay, so that is a very crucial. Okay, alright. And then ethic is a part of engineering for two main reasons. First of all, for social responsibility, and also lastly for professional responsibility. At the end of the day, that is your responsibility. Okay, so that's why ethic comes in. Okay, so this is example. By the time of graduation, student will have an understanding of professional and ethical responsibility. Okay, if you don't have this professional and ethical responsibility, so this is the example of the consequences. Okay, so your bridge will fail, collapse, and so on and so forth. Okay, alright, so this is the ethic. Why we need to study ethic? Ethic is a moral principle that govern a person's behavior or conducting of an activity. Okay, so when we talk about engineering ethic is a field of applied ethic and system of moral principles that apply to the practice of engineering. Okay, so that is the, it's not a difference but much more the similarity. Okay, okay, ini pun sama juga macam kita dalam Islam. Okay, untuk kita yang beragama Islam. Alright, so dalam benda ni kita telah diberi guideline. Dalam agama kita dah diberi guideline. Okay, yang ni yang baik, yang ni yang tak baik. Okay,